I have a question for you guys. Does Caroline even know how unique of a like technique or way of singing that is? Like, does we know it is, but does she know? Hey everyone, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Jacob Williams. I am a professional music producer and composer. Before we dive into this sort of album reaction, I wanted to express my thank yous for voting in the poll. This one was it was literally back and back with Perfume Genius. So, and again, I don't want anyone to feel left out. I will definitely try to do my best to get to all of these pieces of music because I want to check them all out. And I hope you guys know that when I put them in the community polls. I definitely want to check all of them out. I'm just only one person. I can only do one thing at once, especially having a full-time job on top of this. So I'm going to do my best to give everything its fair share of attention. And I want to check out this music as much as you guys want to watch me check out this stuff. Now, on to Caroline Polachek, Polachek. Please let me know how to actually pronounce her name. I am completely unaware of the proper pronunciation. I should have probably looked that up before I started recording this, but I'm very excited to check this out, especially after hearing her feature on the Brat remixes on Everything Is Romantic. I literally was blown away by her vocal ability just on that cover alone, being able to sort of yodel and move her voice in that way. Some of you were telling me in the comments that Caroline just sings that way. That's like her signature style. I'm used to manipulating vocals to sound that way, like in hyperpop or in like indie electronic music. You usually like grab the vocals pitch and like Melodyne or Flex Tune or one of those types of tools, and you like move it up and play around with it. Some of you were telling me that that is how she actually sounds live while she's singing these songs. So I'm very interested to check this out. Looks like this album is from 2023. You guys want me to react to the deluxe edition. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time for that as of right now, but I want you guys to hear my thoughts at least on the standard version of this album. If I like it a lot, and if you guys want to see a follow-up to this album with the deluxe edition tracks, I am definitely open to doing that. But yeah, just taking a brief moment to look at the track list, I see a highlight already staring me right in the face. We have the song track 7, Fly to You, featuring none other than Grimes and Dido. Those are two names that I never thought I would see on a track together. So that will be some sort of weird modern throwback weird thing. Let's dive right into it. Let's go into track 1, Welcome to My Island. Okay. Let's turn this up. Guys, we're only like 20 something seconds into the song, and Caroline has given us like 4 different vocal techniques and displayed them quite well over just this song's intro. I think I'm definitely going to need water for the rest of this song, but let's keep going.
Welcome to my island.
Okay.
See the palm trees wave in the wind. Welcome to my island. See the palm trees wave in the wind. Welcome to my island. Hope you like me. You ain't leaving.
One thing, or actually it's probably going to turn into like a 2 or 3 thing tangent, right? But I love the synth pop elements so far. I also love the sort of synth sprinkles. We're getting very Lord with it when it comes to the instrumentation here, but I'm also noticing, and I want to point out, that incredible layer of vocals below the main vocal right now that's sort of rising up in volume that has a vocoder on it. to the point where at the beginning I didn't even expect that to be on the track, and now it's just slowly entering our listening spectrum. Oh, we have the album title in here already. Nice. I'm not being dramatic, guys. I'm not being dramatic. That is one of the coolest voices I've ever heard. I love that I can't tell if it's falsetto or if it's mixed. I don't know where that range is when it comes to Caroline's sort of spectrum. Maybe I'll have a better idea when we're done with the album, but I love the way that it sort of just bends so effortlessly across intervals like that. How long did she have to work on her voice to get it to that point? It's such an exotic sound, right? Because you could argue, okay, this is pop music or it's alternative pop, whatever genre you want to label this. And I know we've tried to label stuff that we've listened to already before, but I find myself surprised again. Like, I don't know. It's such a cool thing that I'm witnessing here. I kind of like that that synth thing that we're hearing sort of underneath everything. It sounds like a very distorted square synth just going bum 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 bum.
When the wind, welcome to my island.
I'm going to say something to the point after this, but really quick, I like to point out things that maybe you guys might not be hearing. There's like a synth, or there's like a snare thing happening right there, where if you listen back to it, it does like on the like second, I think it's every second hit, I think, it has like a copy of the snare that's doing a delay. It's like, it's like fading into the back of the mix.
You ain't leaving.
Those are those reverse sounds that we've talked about in previous reactions, where you have like a vocal reverb shot that gets recorded and you put it on another track and you reverse it to sort of transition into the next part of the song. That was cool. They took like either her or the producer, someone took a copy of her vocal right there, put it on another track and treated it like an instrument, just made it like almost kind of doing the same thing that the snare is doing. Huh. Kind of an interesting thing there. You know what I kind of like? I like that there's guitars in this song, but it's like they're tucked back, like they're pushed further back into the mix. They're not at the forefront, so it doesn't make the song sound crazy heavy or crazy 80s like rock. If they weren't in the mix and it was just keyboards and drums, it would sound a little weird, right? Like it would just be missing that extra little like mid frequency that the song needs.
I am my father's turning red, and it's all your fault, and it's all your mess, and you're
nice.
All alone. You can't go to bed too high on your adrenaline. You gotta go somewhere where you can't pretend. Don't forget the rules, forget your friends, just you and your reflection. Cause nothing's gonna be the same again. No, nothing's gonna be the same again.
Two things. So I could tell that it was Lorde fans that were recommending this artist and this album to me, because there's a lot of similarities, at least in terms of Caroline's delivery. I think Caroline and Lorde obviously have like completely different voices and completely different places in sort of the pop music spectrum. But when it comes to their delivery of certain vocals and certain performances, I am hearing some similarities, especially with that sort of straightforward, like it's not spoken word, it's not rapped, it's straight sang or straight singing. I don't know what the proper term is. Maybe we can figure that out together, because I have no idea what that is. But it's a nice little way to sort of change up your delivery as a artist. Oh. Smooth as butter. Yeah. Yeah, that. We have the guitar lead doing a variation of the whole Desire hook melody. It's not the same. It's different. It's the same like root notes of the melody, but the little in-between notes are different. What a unique guitar tone too. Beautiful. Awesome. What a great way to sort of like get me into the sort of mood of this album. I really liked it. There's a couple things I noticed. One, Caroline has a lot of different delivery techniques for her voice, has a lot of range in her voice, but knows how to use it and when to use it, because the moments where she went high felt very appropriate. The moments where she was sort of low doing the talk singing thing felt very appropriate as well. Now, another thing that I noticed is the song is called Welcome to My Island. And there's sort of so far this abstract concept of sort of trying to find a sort of feeling or some sort of, desire. And I've noticed in the album art, she's crawling on like a subway or like a metro and touching sand. So is this like supposed to be like urban versus nature type of thing, like cityscape versus like outdoors type of thing? Maybe you guys can help me more with the sort of abstract album concept of what's happening here. I love it. Let's go ahead and move on to track 2, Pretty Impossible. I'd like to point out, and again, she could have tracked this to an accompaniment and then just gotten rid of it for the arrangement. That is being sung with no accompaniment below it, at least from what I can perceive as the listener. That's very hard to do and to stay in tune, because most singers, when they're tracking, they need to hear the pitch to resonate and move their voice up to it. Unless, again, this was a voice note situation or just like a quick record and then they built the track like around that pitch that was in sort of the quick idea. From what I can tell, this was just like, hey, I'm going to record the intro. It's on pitch.
Time's running out in it. Pity the mayflies in the swimming pool at dawn.
I am drowning in 90s nostalgia right now, people. This is great. I love the sort of skittering like Susie and the Banshees kind of beat going on here. Again, a little bit of Cranberries. I'm hearing Cranberries as well. And ironically, Dido, I'm hearing a bit of Dido in there as well. I appreciate the little moments in production. I loved that drum roll in where it was just rapid, like a rapid little crescendo of kick drums. Let's keep going.
Down in the deep end, I can't be left alone.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet Eliza's on the court. Potentially see it in my eyes, and that is better, yeah.
Sorry, I'm pausing so much. You hear that bass like slowly coming in right there? Yeah. That's gonna lead us somewhere. That's gonna lead us to something cool, because it sounds like it's gonna lead us to somewhere cool.
Pretty impossible. If only to get. If I'm on your street, you'll be the last to know. That I get dizzy, and I cannot afford that kind of free.
Why do I feel like that was just like really, 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 really good harmonic dissonance, but I almost couldn't tell because of just how good it was performed. Like I feel like the note she was singing with that really high like yodely thing, I feel like that wasn't supposed to be the note that was supposed to be there, but it just sounded so cool. Like there was no other way she could have sang in anything else that the chord was hitting. I could be wrong. I'm sure if I actually did some analysis, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's the third, or oh, maybe it's the first. It didn't sound like the first though. It didn't sound like it was a like tried and true harmonic note that should go with the chord. To me, it sounded it was a bit out there, like it was a bit dissonant, but it like totally worked. It literally just, because of the hollow instrumentation that we're hearing in that moment, it just worked. I can't get enough of that 90s groove too.
Now you got one eye on the lane and one eye on the lover. Spinning out, yeah, I respect that. But I was born against you.
Do you all remember when I've talked about this concept called word emphasis? It's one of my favorite things to talk about on this channel. So when you want elements in your song to be more pronounced, or you want them to have more attention called to them, word emphasis is how you do it. And I think right there, I'm hearing on only like about half the lyrics in that little stanza right there, there's like 3 tracked harmonies panned left and right that are singing the same thing, just in different harmonies. Like some of them are on the 3rd, some of them are on the 7th, some of them are, I think, a little higher, so they might be octaves, just lower in the mix. But what that does is that accentuates those words, so it makes them feel a bit more important and more heard in the context of the song.
It's all red and velvety, falling back into the lead.
We got some violins coming in on the right. That's a really nice addition because I barely even caught it. And you know me, usually I listen for all the little secret like ear candy back there. I almost didn't catch it because of how subtle it was.
So true.
Oh,
With your lipstick on my thigh, drink the tears until it dry.
I'm going to be saying it for every song. That is one of the most unique voices I've heard because it's not yodeling. Like, that's the only thing that I can like say that it is, right? Like sometimes you don't have a term for something new because yodel is like a very pronounced voice crack turned into a vibrato note. And sometimes it's used for harsher vocals in like hard rock and metal. If you like push through it a certain way, it can turn into like a scream or something like more sort of intense sounding. But this is different because she's using her vocal break as a way to transition the mood. Like it's like she'll go to her vocal breaks and then pick a note to sing, almost like as if she's just a digital like voice synthesizer. It's incredible. That was a cool effect. That was a very, very, very crisp, saturated vocal. With like 2 of them on like different audio tracks, just going bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum, trying to one up each other in terms of volume with automation. That was really cool. So now we're going to talk arrangement. Now is an appropriate time to talk about arrangement. So overall, the song's choruses have been pretty empty, and that's not in a bad way. I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean when I say that is so far the choruses have been a bit hollow, like they just don't have a lot of harmonic content in them. They have like kind of her voice acting like the lead, the drums doing the same thing in the background, and then the bass line, and maybe a couple of little small things in between, but that's pretty much all I'm hearing. Now we're having those strings that were teased earlier, as well as some other pads and like keyboards and just subtle elements just coming in to fill in all that harmonic content that we need in the mix. I love that. The da-da-das, great hook. Great hook. Absolutely unreal, guys. So this is some of the most unique music I've heard lately. I know I've said that about, I think, a couple people I've listened to on this channel, but this takes the cake for probably the most unique sound I've heard in a hot minute. This is a nice throwback to 90s sounds. Where are all my Enigma fans at? If any of you guys listen to Enigma, the sound that you're hearing with the drum line and the rhythm section specifically is giving me very 90s, little early 2000s Enigma with just some of the ethnic percussion and world instrument choices used there. It feels very otherworldly. That coupled with Western influences of like pop and stuff like that, like pop hooks, it's supposed to kind of make you feel sort of transported, like otherworldly, very ethereal, especially with all the little pockets of sound, like the reverbs. Let's move on to track 3, which I believe based on the play count here is the single, Bunny is a Rider. Let's keep going. Ooh. Couple things there. So we got a bass, we got a little whistle thing. Why am I only hearing it in my right headphone? It feels like it should be stereo, but I'm only hearing it over here. Interesting. And then we also have like these really percussive sounding snaps. I feel like so far this is going to be a sort of like bigger moment. This is going to be like more of a hit. And I'm not just saying that because I just said this was a single, but this is being written like this is the song that you see the artist breaking down on like Genius or something like that. Got kind of an ethnic like dance vibe. Oh, yeah.
Bunny is a rider, satellite can find her. No sympathy, ain't nothing for free. Bunny is a rider, satellite can find her. No sympathy, ain't nothing for free.
So what we're hearing here are a couple of things that I want to kind of give some attention to, which is kind of a different turn that I wouldn't have expected Caroline to take after hearing the first 2 songs. So, and this might also lead into sort of the popularity of the song too. So it's got a bit of a dance hall vibe, a little bit of reggaeton, but mostly like dance hall, that boom, 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 boom. That's a rhythm style also referred to as Afrobeat. It is one of the most popular and most internationally acceptable forms of rhythm in music. It is very popular. You'll hear it in all kinds of music. I mean, even Fall Out Boy used a bit of this rhythm style on their album Mania for the song Hold Me Tight or Don't. It's very popular. You might know it from songs like Hotline Bling by Drake. You might know it from the style of rhythm is literally everywhere. Some people call it tropical, or maybe you've heard like tropical pop. I think the correct term is dancehall and reggaeton. I think that's where this originally comes from. But I've also heard the phrase Afrobeat.
Bunny is a rider, no sympathy, ain't nothing. Bunny is a rider, satellite can find her. No sympathy, but I'm so non-physical. I do feel like the lady. I do, fireworks blazing. I do, heart isn't breaking. I do.
Beautiful. So I'm going to explain why I find that so pretty. So we're going to slow things down a little bit. So the first section of the hook has a lot of mini hooks, and they're like dun it, dun dun it, and then also other little melodic pockets that Caroline is sort of tucking her voice into and writing different melodies for. This is beginning part of the chorus where it was kind of that dance hall Afrobeat sort of thing. That has a great example of what I like to call sort of like jigsaw puzzle like songwriting styles, where like you record like a bunch of different catchy melodies and then fit lyrics to them, or it can happen vice versa, but it's easier if you write out like a bunch of really catchy like parts of melodies in the same key, and then you just kind of splice them together and sort of make them this big cohesive big melody together. Now we're going to talk about what surprised me, because so far the first part was impressive from a range standpoint and from a melody standpoint, but it still sounded very typical of dancehall. This second part was more minor key, more melodic, more the way that she sung it straight up gave me like Kingdom Hearts Simple and Clean, like just beautiful melody, very nostalgic sounding. I will say we've left the 90s stuff kind of behind. This song is more modern in comparison to the rest of the album so far. But wow, what a great sort of shift for that melody leading into the second part of the hook.
Bunny is a rider,
We get like turntable scratches.
No sympathy, ain't nothing for free. Bunny is a rider, giddy up, can't find her. No sympathy, ain't nothing for free. Dirty like it's Earth Day, tryna wet that ballad. Can you cut that track, crush that rag, run down
So this song has been so many like just hook after hook after hook after hook, then main chorus, right? Like even the verse is just made up of hooks. There's not really a lot telling you like, oh, here's the verse. So now we have what you could almost call the pre-chorus. This feels like a pre-chorus, but she's shifted the rhythm on us a little bit as well as the melody. It's just shifted a little bit to sort of just give us a, hey, in case you got caught up in like the sort of musical hypnosis that I've thrown on the listener. Here's something to sort of catch you off guard a little bit. Specifically in rap and R&B, this is considered a B section more so than anything. It's not really considered like a counter chorus or a post chorus or anything like that, or even a post verse. I don't even think that's really a thing. But sometimes it's considered a B section because most of your song sounds like A and you're doing something different, that makes it B.
On a Thursday, gonna go ask Alice, trying to catch that rabbit, but I'm so not physical.
Love the reference there.
I do feel like a lady.
Okay, interesting. So remember how earlier I was talking about like the part 1 of the hook and then the part 2 being the melodic, like awesome, beautiful part. So we had that B section in between those two parts this time. So that's a great way to sort of add variation or add change to the song. Guys, I'm so sorry I'm pausing so much, but we need to talk about this. The I do melody is being harmonized with the whistle sample that we heard in the intro that I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Why am I hearing it only in my right headphone? That's being used as like a sound design element to sort of catch us off guard. Wow. I've been so caught up in the vocals and the arrangement, I'm not even listening to the instruments. Do you hear that counter melody rising up in the background back there? It's very quiet, so you might have to like replay it a bunch, but it's back there and it's just subtly like coming up in the mix. You'll hear it. It's there. Do you hear that? It's like a pulsing like vocal thing right there. That's a great little sound to sort of have like leading us out of here without making too many elements that sound like the same thing. I feel like if they had like a full-blown melody right there, like if they had like a like whole other like hook on there, it'd almost be like too many hooks for the song. You know what I mean? Like if your song has too many hooks, it could sound a little messy. But instead, we just have the same note being hit by that vocal chop over and over again. So it becomes more rhythmic. It becomes a little less melodic, leading us out of there. So instead of a counter melody, we now have a counter rhythm. Got guitars coming in now. You hear them on the sides? So really deep bass too. Oh, wow. I'm never going to hear whistles the same way again. By the way, that was so creative. I got to give a lot of credit to just the overall production line of this and just how those sounds were arranged and used in such really cool ways. And it sort of really sculpted out the arrangement to the point where I feel like I could hear this in the background somewhere. And I go, wow, that sounds cool. But I wouldn't really notice all of just the intricacies that are happening in the instrumental and with just the arrangement of the vocals and all that. Yeah, color me impressed. That wow. Now I will say so far, if I heard that single and then I heard the beginning of this album, I wouldn't have expected such a powerful performance on Welcome to My Island and Pretty Impossible. So let's see how the rest of this album sounds. I almost hope we have some of that more bouncy sort of Afrobeat vibe in some of the other songs, but I also want to go back to that Dido like 90s sound, which I'm sure we'll get on the feature track, but I want to hear that on more of the others too. Let's go on to track 4, Sunset. So what I will say, so far, the rhythm is more predictable than in the other songs. But what I really like right here is that guitar sounds like it's being played so fast and so methodical and technical. It's just so like on the dot that I feel like it's a bunch of samples on a keyboard just being hit like this with just like machine fingers. Like that's how it's making me feel. Like it's just like so fast.
Sunset, fiery red, forever fearless and in your arms. A warm horizon, don't look back, let's ride away.
Background time, you hear those like things coming up. I thought it was strings at first. Upon more listening, just right here in real time, that's her voice. That's literally voice layers going. That's not strings. I thought it was strings. I was expecting it to be like violin because we heard that earlier in another song. It was not. It was her voice.
So many stories we were told about a safety net, but when I look for it, it's just a hand that's holding mine. I'm wearing black dim on the southern loss of innocence, and that's all.
I can tell, because I've heard a lot of claps in my day, I can tell that those claps in this track are authentic. They're just literally recorded in front of a microphone and then layered. There's not a lot of effects on them. I can tell because I've done it. I've had to do it for a couple of country songs, just like those very organic claps. What's funny about it is I feel like most producers would just go to Splice and get a clap sample, but it's great because it's got such an organic feel to it. So it matches the guitar work as well as the ethnic percussion in the song.
Because it hides the dirt and hides the wine. So no regrets, cause you're my sunset away. Let's ride away.
I have a question for you guys. Does Caroline even know how unique of a like technique or way of singing that is? Like, we know it is, but does she know how unique that sounds? I mean, she must, right? Because she's the one making the album, is putting this art out there in the world, probably has the record deal, is doing the thing with the producers and the songwriters, but we understand how cool that sounds. Does she understand that is the question.
No regrets, cause
The way that came down was cool.
Let's ride away.
Wow, okay. Wanted to point out that we got some extra harmonies there leading us out of the song, but then we also got like the bridge yodel, like crazy awesome thing come in as a counter melody. Genius. Let's move on to track 5, Crude Drawing of an Angel. Sounds like dungeon music.
Draw the blinds, draw the bath. It's a matter of time till you wake.
The break. Does this person have just like a bunch of different vocal breaks that can be used as texture just buried in her voice? Because usually people who sing have a couple of vocal breaks, and it's when they're transferring to like different registers of voice. So like when you go from your chest voice up into your falsetto, or you go from your chest to your mixed voice, whenever you transition into like a different part of your voice while singing, that's your break. And I thought it was only humanly possible to have like a couple, but that was a deeper one, and before we've heard a bunch of higher ones. So that right there is the thing that I've been talking about, where it sounds like the pitch is manually nudged up, but apparently that's how she sings live. So very impressive.
And watch me draw your brow with shaky hand, so that after you're gone, I got something to hold on to.
Red light.
Unreal. It literally sounds like just very slightly like it sounds like, okay, you have like your pitch correction settings on the singer for mixing. That's usually mixed standard. For those of you who don't know, even like very, very, very good singers, when their vocals are mixed for an album, pitch correction is thrown on there, just a hair of it, just like one, like you could consider it like 1 or 2% for like really good singers. And the reason why it's thrown on there as like industry standard protocol when it comes to like making music is just to add that extra gloss, just to make it sound clean along with all the more modernly like incorporated like instruments and stuff. And every artist has their sort of tuning preference. And then you have artists who choose to use very heavy auto-tune. This sounds like as if you had the mix knob on auto-tune at like 0 and then it just cranks up to max, but only for that brief little like break note because of how her voice kind of just ascends and descends very quickly. It sounds like a machine. It doesn't sound real, but it also sounds way too authentic to be a machine, which is why I believe you guys. But I'm totally just blown away by the ability here.
1, camera 2. On your side, on the carpet.
Very therapeutic. One last thing about her voice here. It goes so high that I'm pretty sure it's in the whistle range. So, and I think I said that about her feature on Everything Is Romantic on the Brat remixes. Her voice goes way past falsetto into whistle. Like it's like way up there. It's like the highest range of vocal possible is whistle, I believe. I could be wrong because I'm not a vocal coach, but I'm pretty sure just based on my current knowledge of how vocals work, whistle is like the highest one. That is literally up there in the whistle range. It's so cool. Another thing I wanted to touch on is those little keyboards back there are very reminiscent of the EDM subgenre future bass with a lot of like wobble modulation put on, like LFO modulation put on the sound. But it's very light, very crisp. I want to know exactly what kind of keyboard that is. I couldn't tell you right now. Because it sounds really cool. It sounds like an electric piano, but with like a FM like LFO mod on it. Oh yeah.
Draw your blood, draw your breath, skip the whites of your eyes till you wake up and walk.
That is the most human sounding like auto-tune interpretation I've ever heard. I'm just stunned.
I'll not be shy, no, I'll not be gentle with you.
Red light. Camera 1, camera 2. On your side, on the carpet. Camera 1, camera 2.
We went back to that like 90s, like again, it's like Dido, Massive Attack. I mean, there's so many influences I'm hearing in this music, but like we're going back to that 90s sort of like boxy kind of sound, but it's also just got this like really nice reverb treatment to it. I want to know what kind of keyboard that is. There's the whistling. So I can picture this. I can picture Caroline kind of doing her performances, and I can picture her having like a sample pad in front of her and like a live loop station type of thing. And like before the song starts, recording like whatever whistle samples are going to be in the song. And then just as needed throughout the song, as she's singing her parts, she just kind of hits them and triggers them like live loops, because that would be like the coolest way to perform that. I do wish that it had just a bit more to, I don't know what. That's the thing. Like, I'm not one to critique. It was fantastic. I mean, I could never produce or never like make anything that sounded that strange yet pretty at the same time. I just wish it had just a little bit of hookiness to it, but it's just not that kind of song. Let's move on to track 6, I believe. We're about halfway through the album right now.
Look over the edge, but not too far.
Ooh. We're getting dancey vibes here. Interesting. So we're using elements of sort of the sound set up in the first 2 songs, or sorry, even Bunny as a Writer a little bit. We're having like those strings come in, again, only in the right headphone. And then we're having these sort of like sampled bits of Caroline's vocal performances being played melodically on MIDI controllers or on pads. It's so good. I'm hearing like a skittering beat in the background, and that's very reminiscent of the EDM and dance subgenre future garage, or garage music, or sometimes referred to as two-step garage. I think that's the oldest form of it. You might remember that style if you've listened to sort of artists that represent that genre, or older sort of archetypes of that genre, like Burial. It's a very popular drum style, kind of like what we were talking about before with dancehall and reggaeton. This sort of skittering, like skittering like dance beat is used in a lot of other genres. It's very popular, but I love hearing it being used on a pop or alternative pop album. What would you guys consider this type of music to be? Because that's kind of where I would put it personally.
You made it home with silver string unbroken, either the sweetest gift. Oh, little miracle, sweet love.
Okay, so now that the song has progressed a little more, we have the beat kind of filling out, like a lot of the high, a lot of the mid stuff is coming out. It's a little less lo-fi now that we're a little further on into the song. But one thing I've noticed is the bass has kind of picked up a little bit. It's kind of gotten a little more resonant to sort of fit the transitioning narrative that Caroline's sort of leading in with her lyrics. But we also have my favorite part that I wanted to talk about, that note that the vocal little samples was hitting earlier. One of 2 things is happening, and I really hope it's what I think it is. So it's either a synth playing that same melody doot that we heard at the beginning, or it's a resampled hit of that same vocal hit that Caroline did at the beginning of the song, but played at a higher pitch, and it has processing on it, so it would be very hard for you to tell first listen. But that's what I believe is happening on I Believe.
Where there can be no compromises down low. I don't know, but I believe we'll get another day together.
Yeah, this song in particular has a lot of EDM and like club elements in it. It feels very reminiscent of, remember in like, I think it was Club Classics or the remix of Club Classics, we were talking about that sort of iconic house synth that sounds detuned. Like it sounds like it's got elements of other notes in with it that aren't exactly like 1,000% diatonic to the song scale. They're like detuned slightly for that like energetic, like off kilter sort of club feel. That seems to be what's happening here, but we also have a pop hook behind it. Oh, again, that I know that was like the same vocal that was being played at the beginning, but I love how like modulated and like messed up it gets. Like the producer just has like a sort of glitch pad or something, and he's just like dude. It adds a lot of sort of rhythmic variation. love the spacious vocals. The synth keys got bigger. I didn't even think that would happen. I just thought we were going to keep getting like, you know, the same chorus, but we got like these bigger, sparkly kind of synth keys coming in. Another thing, if you notice, let's say we take this song's chorus and sort of compartmentalize it into like 4 boxes or 4 parts, right? You have part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. Part 3, which is what we're in right now, has a completely different harmonic makeup than the rest of the 4. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because it's important. When in songs, if you have sort of, I don't know what the technical term is for it, I've just heard it and done it and seen it happen a lot where things sort of like go up. We'll almost call it a pickup. I know that's not the right term because pickups lead into parts of songs, but it's like a chord variation, right? Like it changes into more major keys, sort of brings you up, makes you feel a bit more happy before we descend into what the rest of the familiar chord progression was from before. Nice little organs right there.
But not too far.
Oh, bravo. Oh, I love that. Just the skitteriness of the beat. I loved the sort of just club influence that song had, specifically from two-step garage and a little bit of house, but also just the unique take on 90s nostalgia and dance pop, I guess is what that song would best be considered of. And again, just her unique vocal ability is just taking us places along with the sort of soundscapes that she's choosing for this album. Let's keep going on to track 7, which I'm really excited for, Fly to You, featuring Grimes and Dido. A little subtle lo-fi intro here.
How I remember, how I forget. Wanted to hate you, but thought you instead. Violence made me gentle at last. Closer and closer and closer to you, baby. I'm dying to find out.
So I needed time to really listen to that and to process it. It sounds like we got Grimes' performance coming in first, or Grimes' performance coming in first, followed by Caroline's sort of call and response to Grimes' lyrics. I also wanted to point out, if I haven't mentioned it yet on this channel, my production roots are in EDM and dance music. Before I started ever making pop songs for people, or before I ever started sort of doing stuff like that, when I was learning how to produce music, it was a lot of EDM, most notably a lot of dubstep, electro house, progressive house, drum and bass, breakbeat, trap, like a lot of stuff like that. And then later on, I got into like future bass and stuff. But hearing like drum and bass beats or jungle or any sort of variation of drum and bass gets me like so pumped. I don't know. Even if it's chilled out drum and bass or it's like more relaxing jungle, I literally love that stuff. Anything like 170 BPM or over, it's just so nostalgic for me. And even when clients request it from me, I'm just like, yes, we're going into jungle. We're going into drum and bass. Ooh, we're getting guitar in there.
for something that nobody else can see.
If you were to tell me that one day I would hear Dido over a drum and bass like jungle beat, I would call you insane. Again, I'm not that familiar with Dido's music. I only know the hits really, but it's still a very nostalgic voice for me from the 90s. And I am just kind of obsessed with these like reverse vocal one shots that are happening and kind of flying between the two headphones. And the bass line's really pleasant to listen to too. When I first saw all these names on a track, I don't know what I was expecting, but I definitely wasn't expecting just a super chill yet fast-paced kind of journey that we're on here.
Will you still love me after the band? Remember what's gone before now.
The song is very cinematic so far. There's a lot of textures. There's a lot of synth pads sort of hiding out below everything and then rising up along with the strings. Nice little mix. It's a nice like pop cinema sort of mix. I feel like this is very underrated, and I think the reason why this device is being used is because we have a drum and bass jungle sort of like sort of thing going on in the main rhythm section, but the bass is being used to progress the energy of the song. It's being brought up instead of it being low and rumbly. It's more so going up into like the mid bass sort of section to tell us that we've transitioned to a new part of the song, and that's very underrated. It's not used very often. Usually bass lines are kind of left the same, like low parts of the chords, but I really like what they're doing with it. Oh, the drum and bass mixed with the guitar, you guys, like this is so awesome. It just sounds so cool. And again, guys, I want you guys to know, for those of you who like this might be your first time watching me, I want you guys to know, like, I'm an auto-tune enthusiast. I use it. I mean, I use it for my clients and stuff. So I don't mean that in like a mean way when I'm saying like, oh, there's no way this is auto-tune. Like, what I mean by that is I'm trying to dissect whether it is being used or not from just a strictly like mixing standpoint, like what is being used on this track. That's literally the only context that I mean that in. I'm completely for artists using tools given to them for singing purposes and for coming up with sounds and representing sounds that they like. I think it's all completely fine and valid. This song is literally like one that I never thought would like exist. I love the different characters that each like vocalist is playing on this. I like all the colors they bring to the table. I do wish that the featured artist maybe had a bit more interactability with the song, but again, with stuff like this, especially when you're featuring multiple artists on a song, not just one, it's kind of hard to find that regardless. But nonetheless, I really like the sort of drum and bass jungle vibes that it has. I really think it's a standout track amidst everything so far, and I didn't looking at the album cover before we started filming this, I did not expect to hear drum and bass and jungle on this, but top notch, Caroline. Thank you for giving us fun stuff to listen to. Let's move on to Blood and Butter. I believe this is a song that alone was recommended to me. I believe this is one of the ones. I think this one and Smoke was recommended to me. So let's move on to track 8, Blood and Butter. Music trivia for you guys, or just a little bit of information just in case you don't know. So that thing at the beginning could either be a synth flute, but to me, it sounds like a mellotron. And what a mellotron is, I believe, don't quote me word for word on this because I'm a little rusty on my music history, but what I think a mellotron is it was kind of the world's like first sampler. So mellotrons came out around a time, I think it was the really early 1900s when recorded music just started to be a thing. They were the world's first samplers, so it had a bunch of like things built into the mellotron that would emulate choir or piano or flutes or horns. Like it would have like instruments that were like pre-recorded on these like little tins in different pitches, and when you'd hit the keys, it would play those instruments, whatever setting you had it on. It would play those tins on the keys. So it was kind of the world's first like sampler instrument, or the world's first like synthesizer. Just little quick piece of music history for you guys. That's what that sounds like to me. It sounds like a very old mellotron playing its flute setting.
I know the mode is lethal. Say you want to show me a place, the place is here, the here is inside you.
Nice, nice.
Where did you come from? You and in the navel ring invented you. Where did you come from? You.
When the song is so good, I don't want to like pause it to explain to you guys what's happening. One of the things that I've struggled with in my music making career so far is one of my favorite genres of all time, hyperpop. I always find hard ways to sort of progress it, or to sort of like get it to a different level, or to add more like soul to it. I think on this song alone, that's what Caroline's doing. So there's elements of hyperpop, like those little high-pitched like synth vocal things going between the headphones. You also have this just like soundscape with all these little like low-key plucks. Sounds very hyper, but also very low-key. It's like progressive hyperpop. You know, it's got more like timbre to it. It's got more musicianship put into it. So it sounds a little less indie, or a little less like beginner hyperpop, I guess you could say. But that's definitely what it's giving me rhythm wise and melody wise.
To walk beside you, needing nothing but the sun and set on.
We got that 90s rhythm back.
The picture in blood and butter, holy water, fire and sky.
Wow. And again, I feel bad pausing, but those little sounds that you're hearing sort of suck us into like the next like couple of beats, like one at a time. Those are reversed guitars. So those are recordings of guitars that are, they have the reverse setting on in the DAW. So what that does is it sort of makes them go into the sound instead of just being like down. Nice.
Call you up, nothing to say. No, I don't need no entertaining when the world is a bed. Leave me green and ripping red. Oh, I get closer than your new tattoo.
Oh, now we're talking. Thank you. Thank you. So, again, this sounds like a lot of organic parts. Even the bass line sounds like it's played with an upright bass, which is the most organic kind of bass sound you can ever try to achieve. We have that transitioning into like a like chill pop, hyper pop, low key, like just very like bit crushed synthetic kind of arrangement. What is going on here?
Look at you all mythical, logical, and Wikipedia. Look how I forget who I was before I was the way I am with you. Where did you come from?
Oh,
And what I wanted to walk beside you.
got more guitars coming in.
Needing nothing but the sun that's in our eyes. Paint the picture in blood and butter, holy water, fire and sky. Let me dive into you.
Oh, wow. Are those bagpipes? I think they're bagpipes.
Closer than
Wow. Okay, so now we got like these la da da vocals being ran through a bunch of chorus filters and swooshing with a big tremolo, or even it was might have been manually panned with like automation or something. A lot of these songs have just a very like dancey, like tropical vibe, but also not. It feels, again, it just keeps leaning on the 90s thing. But this definitely gives me like solar power energy, especially with all of that experimentation that we're hearing in the sound bed. And now they're middle pan, now they're in the middle. We love an artist that knows how to make really cool outros. That was a really cool outro, how the bit crushed little vocal one-shot sample is going between the headphones, as well as her signature yodel thing coming through the middle. And I almost want to say it washed out in the pan. Like it eventually became very reverbed and sort of just washed out. Wow. That really threw me for a loop. So thank you, whoever recommended that track. It's different. You just got to listen to it because there's organic elements, there's cinematic elements, there's electronic elements and elements of like EDM and dance, but not too much. It's not overpowering. It doesn't overcompress and oversaturate the entire production bed. It's very different kind of music. And I'm very surprised. Some of these songs are as popular as they are because of how experimental they are. Let's move on to track 9, Hopedrunk Everasking.
Starlight in the tunnel.
Got the Celestas.
Hopedrunk Everasking. How does it feel to know?
Oh.
You're
So we have like her signature yodel thing subtly happening. Again, that's just got to be the way that she sings, like you guys were mentioning, because it feels so natural. It feels so like it just comes naturally. But now you have like these bird chirping, like either that or they're just really high pitched, like cranked to plus 36, like vocals being used as like a rhythmic sample every other couple of beats. And then just these very subtle musical notes coming in across all the instruments that might blow up. We'll see.
final form. So new. Pull close to me and never be alone.
Wow.
Real life is a rumor under the theater. Pull close to me and never be Dawn is just a headspace. Night is a feeling. Hope drunk
That was one of the coolest ballads I have ever heard. That I had to literally just sit there for almost that entire 3 minute something, and really just let those melodies sort of soak in, because as you heard, there was a lot happening in terms of like textures. There was a lot happening in terms of like chord progression, but the production sort of took a backseat on that. And we had mostly like a just nice intimate moment with the vocal performance, and the amount of control that she has over her voice can really be shown on this track. I'm surprised it doesn't have more streams than it has. It is the least streamed song on the album, probably because it doesn't have any beats. It doesn't have a whole lot of like production, but from a pure vocal performance standpoint, this should be the song that, I don't know, you see those like vocal coach reacts or, singer reacts to professional singer reacts type of stuff. This should be the song that gets targeted for content like that, because of just how diverse you're able to hear her ability on this. It's almost like watching a jazz guitarist do a solo for like an entire song. That is how this song feels, but for her voice specifically. And it doesn't leave you feeling, oh, well, that's just so flashy. And so, no, it's like, I think even within the context of the album, it's right where it needs to be. I mean, I literally liked it right away because I could just tell, yeah, that was really enjoyable. That's one of my favorites. Let's move on to track 10, Butterfly Net. Ooh. Right away with the wobble keys there, the little whirly thing.
She dreamed of a winter where you appeared to me. Perfect timing as new battles in November.
The voice crack right there on, I think the lyric was November. Top notch.
A fever, disarming, fluorescent. There you were.
Ooh.
With your mirror, shining the world all over me. There I was with my butterfly net, trying to catch your light.
Does she say using a butterfly net to try to catch your lie or something like that? That's kind of a cool little like metaphor there. I also really like just the overall sound set of this. We're back to that again. I want to know what Caroline's main like inspirations are, because it just sounds so 90s.
As your eyes, until then I'll keep it brief.
That was almost, remember in one of our other videos, we were talking about key changes and how sometimes they can be seamless, almost to the point where you don't even realize it. That right there, what just happened, is one of them. So impressive the way that was written. I'm going to have to look up the chords for that later, because that was a very, very subtle key change. Like even just right now, I was like, oh wow, we just switched keys like bars ago, and I didn't even realize it. Like, wow, the lead up to that was just so seamless. It was smooth. It was just complete chord butter. That was awesome.
For inertia, a bullet doesn't slow. It seeks and finds me. How far it goes.
I really like that the percussion choices on this album aren't just your typical like kick, drum, kick, snare, clap, hi-hat, tom. Like there's like other more like worldly, like ethnic sort of like percussion choices happening here across the entire album.
This
Ooh.
bag of wings
That little flam back there, that was awesome.
out it in the tent and wake tomorrow hollow, hardly forgetting that you were.
Whoa, you hear that? Do you hear that? I don't know. Are those like pieces of metal that they're using to make like organic sounds? Or is it like a serum patch? I genuinely have no idea. I couldn't even tell you guys. That is such a mysterious sound happening right there. I just love the way that this is all mixed. It's so different. Atmospheric vocals. More atmospheric vocals. We're nearing the end of the album. We have 2 songs left, and so far my opinion is this is a very unique piece of music. I'm going to probably repeat that later, but I also just love how percussive and rhythmic her music is, mixed with just the sort of like unique melodic elements of the 90s with a modern twist on it. A lot of pop artists like to call back to the 80s when it comes to like finding sounds to play with, or even sometimes the 70s. This feels very like 90s, but if we lived in a world where like all music genres were popular in like one place, so you have elements of like sort of world music, sort of cinematic, like ethnic music. There's all kinds of like even genres that I probably don't even like understand are probably like being used as influences here. Let's move on to track 11, Smoke. Ooh.
It's just smoke.
I think I know what's happening here. We started off with this big anthemic, like sort of synth pop, 80s pop, 90s pop sound, mostly 90s, like I've just been saying throughout this whole video. But then we went through a big journey through all these sounds, and now we're back to the triumphant sound. It's like we're coming back home. That's almost how it feels. Yeah, I like that texture in the background, that kind of thing.
It's just smoke.
Right there, leading into the drum loop, that was a reverse drum loop. So kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the reverse guitars, that's a drum loop, but in reverse, just going into that drum loop. It's just like reverse. So it's doing the same exact notes, same exact rhythms. It's just reverse. So it kind of feels like more of a transition.
Floating over the volcano. It's just smoke. Go on, you know, can't say no. It's just smoke.
Ooh. That synth bass right there is really cool, and I'm going to tell you why. It's got like a modulation or like a LFO on the cutoff knob and the resonance knob. And so what it's doing is it's pulling on the cutoff knob to make it sound bigger over time, but it's also pulling a little bit on the resonance knob just to give it a bit of that nasal kind of sound to it, or make it sound a bit more textured, like it's got a little more distorted color to it, just to make it sound a little less basic, you know, because it's like if you had just a basic synth pop lead, it would, or if you had a basic synth pop bass, it would sound a bit, you know, kind of generic. So in order to prevent it from sounding generic, they put a bunch of mods on some of the knobs to make it just transform as it's being played. Those are the knobs moving.
It's just smoke.
We still have that rhythm.
Floating over the volcano.
Oh, love it.
It's just smoke. Selling me out on a diamond.
Key change. I feel like she's literally performing this like on the side of like whatever volcano she's talking about, just echoing her voice down this like big valley. I mean, the atmosphere on this album alone is just top notch. I mean, I want to know what kind of reverb plugins were being used. It sounds like Valhalla, like Supermassive Valhalla is being used, because that reverb plugin just has such a great way of creating just these otherworldly spaces. That rhythm that she's doing with her voice kind of reminds me of Bunny as a Rider a little bit. Like it's got that hooky sort of dance pop, dance hall kind of thing to it. But this isn't like a dance hall beat. Like that's not being used here. But it feels very like dancey, hooky. So we're kind of going a little bit back to that in a way. Okay, so remember those knobs we were talking about earlier with the synth bass? Those are in different positions now. So they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same movement. They're just duller now. So they can fit further behind the mix, so they stand out a little less. So now, instead of it going, boom, it's going, boom. You get what I'm saying? It's a little more like less pronounced than it was earlier in the mix. Got all those rhythms back there, those reverb drums. So many pretty noises. I mean, I heard like little pan flutes in there. I heard like just these tribal, like ethnic sort of world sound noises. And again, her voice is just seamlessly mixed into the background there. Whoever engineered this track, you have done an incredible job. I mean, not just this track, but the entire album. The vocals are blending just seamlessly into it. It's literally butter. I'm so envious of that ability to do that. It's just so good. That's definitely a favorite. Let's move on to the final track on the album, Billions. Ooh. Those are some cool sounds. We got like a little reverse thing. It's like a drum loop being reversed really quick into these like sort of ticky noises. I hope that this beat just explodes. That's my hope, but I'm completely okay with another ballad. Ooh. My brain is trying to analyze in live time. That sounds like a drum loop made up of like 20 different sounds. And I say that because they all don't sound like they were performed together. They sound like they're all sampled or grabbed or chopped or cut from like 20 different places and placed together. Some of them sound like guitars. Some of them sound like percussion. Some of them sound like flutes used as percussion. That is a trip. I literally want to just cut that out and use that myself. Just like resample it and put it in something, because that is very creative and it sounds really cool. That melody that she just did with her voice, I'm not sure what scale degree it goes to, but the oh is such a cool sort of interval pattern. I've heard it used in a lot of classic rock or a lot of music that kind of starts not on the tonic chord of a scale, but on like the fifth, or it might start on like the subdominant, so the fourth. But a lot of music that does that sound kind of has that sort of otherworldly, like key changey sound when they go down in intervals, because you're not expecting the note to resolve that way. You're expecting it to resolve like, I don't know, if I'm playing a song in F major, or like if I'm playing it in C major, but I'm in like the F major mode. So I start the song in F major. I'm going to resolve to different notes melodically because I'm staying within the C major scale. Whereas if I'm not, right, it would be a bit more predictable. It'd be a bit more poppy, as they would say. We're back to those talky vocals.
But it's dead on arrival.
I did not know her voice could go that low. Now we know. We're getting some Lord sounds. Do you hear the little like, it's kind of like a trance arp or like like an arp. It would be used in like trance music usually, or like progressive house, but it's just kind of playing like a sample of her voice, just going like this on the keys, right under everything. It's a very nice rhythmic pattern, and I almost didn't see it coming. Now we have a melodic break.
I never felt so close to you.
What? I'm gonna have to look up what Caroline's like influences are. Okay. You know what's funny? You know what's really funny about looking up that information? I didn't want to say Enya because I didn't know how well that would be received, or if other people would know who Enya is. But I heard Enya influence right out the gate. Not so much Kate Bush, but I definitely heard Enya the moment I heard Caroline's voice on that Charlie XCX feature a couple videos ago. I love the rhythms. I love them. Oh, that is so cool. It's got like trip hop to it too, and especially now that I know that sort of Enya influence in there, it definitely is trip hop. It's like trip hop mixed with dubstep, a little bit of bass music, but like very chilled out and laid back. Oh, we have a break. I want to say that sounds like her voice being routed through like a Moog synthesizer or some sort of synthesizer with a mic on it. I love the fade out there. I also really want to take some time to appreciate how unique from just a sampling and like sound design standpoint that song was. There was all kinds of percussion being used there. There was all kinds of like metallic noises being reversed, modulated, passed through. I swear even her voice was ran through a talk box to provide texture. Wow, what this album has been such a journey. I mean, I pretty much liked every song on it. Some of the songs in the middle, they weren't completely lost on me. They just weren't really my favorites. But yeah, I definitely really enjoyed that, probably a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, I could just tell from the moment I heard her voice on the remix song for Everything Is Romantic that just her ability as a singer alone is something that makes her music interesting. But now that I've heard everything together, it's definitely a mix of things. It's her technical ability, it's her artistry, because even some of the lyrics were really interesting in how they rhymed together and how they sort of built up the song and progressed some of the narratives in the music, but also the very unique, very eclectic production in some of these songs. I mean, really across the whole album, but I would say most notably in Billions, most notably in Hopedrunk Everasking, Blood and Butter, from what I remember of Pretty Impossible and Welcome to My Island. But I mean, even when Caroline goes for a more mainstream, more acceptable sound in Bunny as a Rider, you can tell she can't help but have some sort of experimental noises in there, or some sort of experimentation with at least the arrangement. And that definitely deserves like 10 out of 10 from me. I love when artists try to be accessible with their music, because there is a lot of pop influence on here, but it's also just so experimental. You really have to take your time with this album and sort of dissect every little noise that you hear if you want to fully appreciate some of the production in here. Because even right now, I can't tell you guys, I can't break down exactly everything I just heard over those 12 tracks, but what I can tell you is I will definitely be coming back. And I wanted to give you guys proper thanks for recommending this to me, because this was a treat. It was an experience. Maybe at some point we'll do another video where we go over the deluxe tracks, because I'd love to see what else is in store for the narrative of Desire I Want to Turn Into You. And also, if you guys can provide more context about what the album means or what some of these songs mean, that would also be deeply appreciated and would save me a lot of time. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Feel free to recommend me some more stuff. I'm going to have a community poll up up after this video is posted, just to kind of get a sense of what you guys want to see next. We might do Perfume Genius. We might do FKA Twigs finally. I really want to sink my teeth into some of her music. Or we might do Florence and the Machine. I haven't fully decided, but I'm going to have you guys help me decide, and maybe we might get just sent in a whole different direction after this. But thank you guys so much for your time and for stopping by. Have a great rest of your day.